Hey guys, welcome to today's lesson. Apologies I wasn't there today. Look, we're looking at frequency distribution tables. I guess the main reason for using a table is that we can collate data. So we've looked at a lot of ways on how to collect data. So now we want to collate data so then we can then put them into a graph to then discuss that data or analyze that data. So what a frequency distribution table looks like is simply a little table. Now that's not the neatest of tables, I apologize, but we have things like score, we have tally, and then we have what we call frequency. And then later on we'll be expanding on each of those columns. We might have a few extra ones on top of that. Let's say, for example, I get a score between 1 and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, right? So this could be a like a score on a maths quiz perhaps. And different things can happen, like you can be given the table all completed out and you're asked to draw a graph from that table, or they can say, okay, these are the following scores. They might say you've got a 1, a 2, a 1, a 3, there was a couple of 5s, there was a couple of 4s, there was another 3, a 2, a 1 and a 5, right? And they want you to put that data into a frequency distribution table, and then they want you to then collect that data. Okay, so what we can do there, you can have a column, a tally column if you wish. I'm going to say this is optional. Okay, and this helps sometimes if you have lots and lots of data. What it means is I'm going to cross out the 1 and I'm going to put a stroke there for 1. I'm going to cross the 2 out, put a stroke for a 2, cross a 1 out, put another stroke for a 1, and so forth. And I'm going to continue on that method, and it just gives me a quick way to tally up all the numbers there. Okay, you might say I've got 2 3s, so I'm going to put 2 3s there. We've got another 2, we've got a 1, and we've got a 5. Okay, what I might do, just for argument's sake, I might throw a couple of other numbers here. I'm going to put a 3 and a 3 to start off with, and then I'm going to add those 2 3s in. And what I'm going to show you is that when I get to that fifth 3, we put a little line through it. And hopefully you've seen that way of counting previously. Okay, so again, a tally table is literally just tallying up those numbers. The frequency is simply how many times the number has occurred or the score has occurred. Now, this is basically just putting a Hindu Arabic, or our number system, number in for the tally. So there are 3 there, we have 2 there, we have 5 there, we have 2 there, and we have 3 there. Okay, it's not a bad idea to do a little total for that column. 3, 4, 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I can put my 15 there. When I do that, I usually then count my numbers up. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That all balances out. I've got my frequency distribution table. To be honest, that's it. Okay, that's all I have to do. You don't have to have the tally table there. You can have score and frequency. That's no problems. But later on, when we start looking at things like the mean, the median, etc., sometimes there are more 2 other columns called the FX column and the CF column, which we'll be going through at a later date. Okay, they can be added on to this, but this is the very basic part. What we'll be doing after this lesson is converting these tables to a graph. So for example, what our whole aim is we had to draw a graph like this. We put our scores on the x-axis, we put our frequencies on the y-axis. For example, like this, 1, we can do a 2, a 3, a 4 and a 5, or we can spread them out. Okay, that wasn't very neat, even though we're not doing it at the moment. Let's try and make that it's a little bit neater. Okay, put a 5 there. And then what we'll then do is say, okay, we'll score 1 occurred 3 times. So I'm going to go, let's say 1, 2, 3. And I'd go up here, and then I'm going to put like a nice little column there, for example. I'm going to go through and do the same thing for the 2. The 2 was scored 2 times. I'm going to go up to a 2. I'm going to put my column there. I'm going to put a 3 occurred 5 times. So we put 4 and a 5. And you can see what we're kind of doing here. What it looks like, I guess, it looks like we're creating a column graph. But maybe you understand perhaps why it's not a column graph and it's not called that. one of the things with a column graph you might remember, or you might be screaming at me saying, "Sir, sir, sir, you didn't leave gaps in between the columns." Well, there's a reason for that, because when we do a frequency column graph, or a frequency histogram we might call it, we don't leave gaps in between the columns. So at the moment, all we're looking at is, can we complete the table out? And that's pretty much it for this lesson. Can we read off the column? And then the next lesson is what we'll start to do. We'll actually start using the tables and put them into graphs. The only other thing I might mention is sometimes you might see, instead of having just a score, you might have what we call a class, like 0 to 5, 6 to 10, etc., 11 to 15, and it works exactly the same way, but it works well when we have large groups of numbers, and so it just makes it a little bit quicker. I don't have to include every single number, because, for example, if we're looking at just these three classes, that's 15 different numbers. I have to do 15 different rows, and that will take some time. So sometimes a class can be useful just to sort of shorten the groups up a little bit, so it's going to take me less time. Look, I hope this was a little bit useful. You guys should be pretty fine with this stuff, I would imagine. This is going from exercise 9E, I believe, and I think it's page 575. So please go ahead and do those questions that I've asked you to complete. Any problems, feel free to drop me an email, and hopefully I'll see you in class tomorrow. Have a great day.